science. And basically, we decided to have this program because at IIT, being a technical school, there's a lot of culture and there's a lot of like oppression towards anybody who has faith, because people tend to see that you can't reconcile faith and science, and that the two different spheres of knowledge can't really coexist. And so we were hoping that with this program we could kind of bring the realization that faith and science don't have to be completely opposites, and that students and professionals can be religious and do good science. And so, with that, I want to welcome up our first speaker, Dr. Ahmed Mirza. I said that right. He's right here.
Peace be upon you all. Assalamu alaikum. And I did not get a format of how long I can talk, so if we can, tell me how long I can talk forever. Okay. First, I have to apologize for my attire. My professional PhD here. I'm trying to usually look a little bit more professional, but I just had surgery a few days ago. My abs, so I really can't tolerate trousers right now. So that's why I'm looking like a student. Okay. Students are for people. I was not too long as a student. Okay, I graduated here from IIT back in 2018 with a PhD in molecular biochemistry and biophysics in Dr. Manhart's lab in biology. And then immediately right after that, I started working at Russian University as a faculty. I worked there for the past 3 years, and now I'm changing and going to Loyola University to do actually a postdoc. I did not do a proper postdoc, but that's what I want to do. I was teaching at Rush, mostly managing program, kind of part of the program, master program, but that's not what I want to do. I want to do research. I want to find answers, and that's what you're here, to find answers. Scientists, scholars, students of all kinds are knowledge seekers. And if we stop being knowledge seekers, then we stop being human. I used this example before. The difference between monkeys and one of the theories that why monkeys did not evolve, chimps specifically, even though they have a magnificent brain, they're very intelligent. They're 98.5% genetically identical to us humans, yet they're not as evolved. Why? It's not because of the thumb thing. It's not it really. It's that they don't share knowledge. Okay? They don't share knowledge. In a troop of monkeys, if there's a monkey that does that little delicacy where they take a little straw and go into an anthill, pick up a few ants and then sit there and eat it like caviar, you've seen this I'm sure on many shows. If that monkey dies and nobody else had learned by watching that monkey doing it, that's it. No other monkey is going to do that until somebody else comes back, another monkey, and reinvents the wheel again. Humans have always been great in passing the ball. Thus, you take a lecture or you get really severely punished if you don't do your referencing correctly according to APA style or whatever, Referencing is really acknowledging the ball passes from before you and saying that I received this piece of information because he received it from them and so on. Our share of knowledge is what makes us evolve. Our evolution stopped, if you want to believe, same to those who are believe in the evolution completely system of humanity, we have stopped evolving. And I had this discussion when I presented last. So, the idea what I'm supposed to be talking here about is how I actually can bring in science and religion together in my head, in my heart. As a biologist, as a scientist and medical scientist, I my bachelor's is in medical technology from Rush University, so I started with that, and then went to got my master's science in here in cell biology, genetic engineering, and started seeing still Darwin fishes with the 2 feet on cars, and I said, what is this happening here? I've been living in the US for 20 years, and I see this, the evolution of that little fiasco over time. And I always thought, I'm a Muslim, I have to believe that God created Adam from mud. This is how it is, no matter what. Evolution, come on, dinosaurs are around me. I cannot deny science. I am a scientist, I know what carbon dating is, and it's not going on a date with some lady called carbon, it is, it's a real method that really proves to me that this dinosaur is, or this fossil is 200 million years old. I can't deny it, and it is alive, and it looks like my arm, it is a femur, it is this, it is that, it is teeth, I can't deny this, but where did humanity come in? So, believe it or not, I started thinking way back, this has been happening over the past 20 years, to come up with this idea in my head. Well, why can't it be both correct? Why couldn't it be that God, and then I came across another ayah in the Quran that says that God created everything from water. Alright? Everything that is alive on this God's birthday is from water. Does anybody disagree with this from an evolutionary point of view? No. Do I believe completely in Darwin's studies amongst the finches of Darwin and how they evolved? No, I cannot. Do I see the resemblance and the evolution between the fox and the dog and the wolf? No, I cannot deny this. They're right in front of me. But is my grandmother really a monkey? That's not because I refuse to have a grandmother that is a monkey, no, because I think that God didn't see that in there. He kept saying over and over that I made him with my hands out of mud, and then I blew into him from my spirit, and he became Adam, and Adam knew everything, and he taught him, and this knowledge thing came along, and I kept saying, and this cannot be opposite of each other. Science and religion should not be opposite of each other. It cannot be. Because the first word in the Quran revealed was read. Learn, seek out, search, find an answer. How can it be read, which means you have to go and find one thing will lead to another. I start reading, I start searching, I'll find a bone, and why did that bone get there? And eventually I find evolution. Today's evolution. Then how can God tell us to read and then at the same time tell us, no, by the way, evolution is not right? They can't be. They're coming from the same source. God told me to go seek out knowledge, then He had good knowledge for me to find that He agrees upon. He agrees too. So I came up in my head with the idea, well, why couldn't it be that life evolved all along until man came upon it as an outsider? I heard from one of the Israelites, this is in Islam, things that come from the Bible and from the Torah, we cannot deny them if they are in agreement with the Quran. And one of the things that either in agreement or disagreement is the description of that Earth was actually had other entities, the jinn kind, which is made out of fire, versus angels made out of light, and mankind made out of mud. Life was already flourishing on Earth. When God was about to create Adam, the angel said, why would you put on Earth somebody who's shed blood into it? Meaning just like those other creatures are living around. Wait a second, this gives me a scenario where life is going on Earth, and God all of a sudden took this Adam and dropped him in there. And then one day I'm watching Discovery Channel, due to my geekness, I love the Discovery Channel, Learning Channel, Animal Planet, all these things. And I saw a show about the great silverback gorillas, very close cousin of ours, supposedly. And these guys, when they live in a place, when they go into a jungle, they wreak havoc on it. okay? They eat bark, soft bark. So every tree, they go on top of every tree, and you know these guys are about 600, 800 pounds. You know, they eat about 200 pounds of food a day. They just snap one tree after another, eat the bark, and throw the rest, and it goes on like that. And when they sleep, they make a nice fluffy bed out of tree bark, also on leaves. And the next day, of course, because it's going to be all lumpy, they'll have to make another one. They destroy the woods. They destroy it, but when they leave, they don't come back for 7 years. Why? So they can recover. That's a creature from Earth. It's a descendant of Earth. It cares about its mother. Alright? It wants its mother to take care of itself and mend itself. Nor that troop is not going to go there, nor another troop of apes are not going to go in there. Oh, this place is already being destroyed, let's give it some time. Okay? Have you ever seen a lion hunting for pleasure? You know, it doesn't go, it doesn't happen. A bunch of cheetahs hanging, you know, impalas heads on the trees just for, you know, decoration. It doesn't happen. Everything is so well perfectly balanced in this ecosystem. What screwed up the ecosystem? I mean, of course, us, mankind, right? Okay. Why did we screw up this ecosystem? And I use another example. Let's say you go to an apartment, you know, and they tell you the security cover, the security deposit is only $300, you know, some places, some states do have that. And you're a party animal, do you think you can care about the $200? No, I'm sure you can destroy that apartment if, you know, some people will do that, let's say not you. Some people will do that because they're not going to care about $300 or even a month's rent. They're not going to care. Try to do that in your own home. You're not going to care. You care about what you own. Your home, you take good care. If your son comes in, well, someone can make. If your mom sees your brother, little brother, or somebody taking a crayon to the wall, you'll be freaked out and coming in with bars, bleach, and whatever to clean it up, or doing everything possible to fix that. But if it happened in an apartment and you don't care a whole lot about the security deposit in there, because we're not from this earth, we're outsiders. And I say this in my presentation, we are renters, we are aliens. God created us separately than this entire humanity. I'm sorry, this entire globe and what goes on this globe. God said I created everything from water. Yes, things was created in water and stuff crawled out, and you know, we had the first few cells and everything going on. And if you are familiar with the doctor who actually was able to put the same conditions that made an amino acid in the University of Chicago back in about 52, he puts everything together and exactly with electricity, and boom, sure enough, you actually have amino acids collecting together, coming together. But still, no matter what, it will make life. We can clone today. Cloning is not creating. Cloning is not creating. In other words, they would have called it creating. They called it cloning. Cloning, making copy. I can clone a document in a Xerox machine. You want to impress me? Start with a bunch of chemicals and make me a wing of a mosquito. And this is a challenge from God in the Quran. I challenge them to go and make a wing of a mosquito. Don't start from a wing of a mosquito or a cell that came from a mosquito and then you clone it and you grow it and make it into a wing of a mosquito. Start from chemicals. Nothing. Start with the basic ingredients like carbon, some nitrogen, there's oxygen. Go ahead. Okay. So, amazingly, I came to think about this idea throughout time, over time, and I really started to believe it. And I even, I used to teach in a community college, and I would go in the classroom, and community colleges have usually out in the suburbs. There's more people who are holding tighter to the creationist idea. And when I have to teach evolution, and I teach evolution, and after I teach evolution, at the beginning before I teach evolution, how many people believe in evolution? got one hand out of 24 people, two hands out of 24 people to come up. And then I say, after I teach evolution, according to the book that I have in the text, how many people believe in evolution? I still have the same two hands. And I say, can I, off the record, tell you my theory of evolution? And I go ahead and share this idea with them. How many people believe in evolution now? I have usually about 60% of the hands go up. People who do not believe in creation, that God is supreme and created everything the way He wants it to be created, will find and poke holes. They are not, they might be knowledge seekers. They might be, have debates in their head, and they want to take it out to you so that you can help them with that debate in their head. Some people are just there just to prove you wrong. I was told by one of my professors before I graduated, when I'm preparing for a presentation I was going to give at Argonne, he said, keep in mind there are people in the audience that are always going to be there just trying, their sole purpose is to make you look bad. It's not for knowledge, it's not for anything, just to prove that they are the bomb, they're God's gift to science and you're not. And there are people in creationism versus evolutionism who are out there just to disprove creationism. And I say this, first of all, if there is a proof, clear proof of God's existence, we won't be having this discussion. If there is a clear proof of God's existence, we won't have this talk. We won't be here saying, God, oh, there he is, my God. But the reason we have these discussions is because at the end, it comes down to faith. It is all about faith. Now, you choose to have faith and believe in the creation of God or not. Now, I say, well, what's my proof that there is a God existence? And I say this from my business, from my work in DNA. I can't see DNA with my eye if there's this or two, and it has about 50 microliters of liquid in it, and I know it's packed with DNA. But there's no way you can see it. I can drink the thing, and I'm not going to know the difference. But if I take some of it and run it on a gel, I'll see the marking of the DNA. I might not see God straight, but I can see his touch on earth. I can see his clues. And some of these clues came in creations and watching your son being born. That is an amazing event. You can think of it as biology as you want. I think it is a blessing. But also, I came across this verse in the Quran just a few hours ago. A couple hours on my way here before I came here. I'm reading this, and I know people try to find answers for everything. To come back and say, no, I know I'm almost some of those students, and I'm almost one on this. They say, when I first, way back when I was doing my master's here, and I'm talking to my professor, and I said something about, embryology is perfectly described in the Quran from the first cell all the way to birth. I said, yeah, you're telling me that at your time, Muhammad, ladies did not have miscarriages? Maybe he was a very observant person, and every time he saw miscarriage, he wanted to saw the different stages, which are labeled according to description, which is true. It's kind of wonderful. Well, guess what? I just read this verse in the Quran. This chapter, Surah An-Naml, I can't remember. It's the Surah An-Naml, chapter of Ant, and verse number 8. And it says here, and when you look at the mountains, you think that they are solid. Okay? When you look at the mountains, you think that they are solid. But in reality, they are moving like clouds. Okay. So what? Are you telling me Muhammad still around there for about 5 million years to see that Everest actually grew a couple of inches? He stood around to see that the Red Sea got larger by an inch a year? How did that happen? 14 centuries ago, you have this piece that tells you plate tectonics. Deny it if you can. I dare you. That to me is proof. And that's how I fit evolution in Islam. Thank you.
Do I sit or do I get up? Or you can sit down and watch. All right, thank you very much. Our next speaker is Dr. Paco Ruiz. He's a professor here at IIT Europe. So
I just walked in and I'm talking. What did I talk?
Yeah, so you guys want to welcome him?
No. Yeah. Well, I don't need this. No, I didn't to talk about evolution. I didn't talk about evolution. All right, so I guess the reason why I was invited here is to sort of give a little bit of a witness of how my faith influences my understanding of the world and research and science and all that. Okay. So let's start with the disclaimer. Okay, I am a Roman Catholic, and for me, my prayer life is very important. I try to pray 5 times a day, maybe a few more than 5 times a day. I try to go to Holy Mass every day, try to do sometimes a mental prayer, also say the rosary, do some reading of some book, read the gospel every day. I feel I need that. Among other things, because the modern world, especially the technical world, and all these technical stuff, evolution is one of the many. I'm in the area of energy, and when you look at energy, one of the things that you need to discern is what is really is true and what is just political bullshit, which there is an awful lot. And, having a perspective of what let's say a love for truth helps to discern. What are we talking about? Are we looking at real stuff, or are we looking at something that's kind of fabricated? The humans interacting with each other. Anyway, I find that helps me because otherwise it kind of leave me alive. I think it will totally leave me alive. I don't know if you were going to take a poll of professors in this university, how many will actually admit that their faith is important to them, one, or a real guiding principle for them, two, or we didn't feel comfortable giving a talk like this. Right? The reason in many cases is because they have learned a lot in technical fields, sometimes in the humanities type of fields, a lot of learning, but their knowledge of God and religion has stayed at a level that is like kindergarten level. And of course, there is a disconnect there between the knowledge of the secular sciences and the knowledge of the divine. Now, much has been written the divine. There's whole libraries, right? Before at the time of the Enlightenment, the physical sciences were paying a fair amount of attention. Just about everything that was written and was put in libraries had to do with the theological sciences. In the West, for sure, in the Middle East, I'm not so familiar about that, but I suspect something similar as well. There was a lot being produced in terms of theology, in terms of the study of morals, the study of the world from the perspective of faith. All right, so what should I say about this? Does this cause me trouble? No, it doesn't cause me trouble as an engineer. Okay, I'm really not a scientist, so my field of scholarship is not trying to understand the physical world better, but to actually change it, make it more artificial. And that might give trouble to some people who would say, well, yeah, you really love God, you love creation. Isn't that audio that you are contributing to making the world less natural, more artificial, that you're sort of competing with God? It doesn't, all right? You can go to the book of Genesis, for instance, which chapter? You can look it up. I think it's chapter 2. Okay, you're 10. At some point where the Bible describes where the first man was created, it says that Adam was created so that he would be in the Garden of Eden to work it, to work with it, and that was the purpose of man. Okay, so I'm taking society has meaning that from the beginning of the human race, we have had a God-given mission to improve creation. So not just to live off creation, not just eat and multiply and all that, but actually improve it. That God left things for us to work out. Namely, technology, right? Airplanes and cars and computers and medical devices and things that we can barely imagine what they will be, including things that probably will enhance man and people at the most basic level, like augmentations of the brain controlled stuff, Internet in the brain, things that are going to create maybe some moral problems, because we have a way of using pretty much any technology that is invented wrongly first. Atomic energy, a bunch of technologies, we find out we use them wrong first. But eventually, when we really learn to use them, it's an enhancement of humans, of humanity. It's an enhancement of creation. That we are actually going to make the world and the universe better because of our action. And we're helping God because He wanted it that way, that we help Him. Okay, what else can I say about that? So that gives me a lot of, let's say, joy that I'm not doing something idle, and that what I can do as an engineer actually helps me to love God. Right? Now, did we discuss the existence of God at some point here? I think when I walked in, it looks like that was being discussed, but then it turned out to be evolution. Well, so I'm going to slightly disagree with the previous speaker on saying that the existence of God is not quite evident. To me, it's quite evident, maybe after the fact. Right? It's one of those things that are evident after the fact. Once you kind of admit the possibility that there might be an intelligence controlling all this, then you just find the proof everywhere you look. You see the sun, you see, is there a possibility of this thing may have just come together out of single atoms, and kind of congeal into this out of the big mass, violating the second law of thermodynamics. Those who take the demo with me, you know that we actually prove the existence of God using the second law of thermodynamics, right? So, like that, so many things. But I don't blame my colleagues for not believing because they do. They actually do. It's just that they have not given enough importance to that. They don't think it's important. They don't think it's really going to enhance them as a person. I had my experience, let me give you another this. I kind of came to start believing more in God when most people start disbelieving. It's kind of an opposite behavior. Yeah, growing up, I really didn't practice much. Never went to church or anything. Hardly ever. First time we that's about it, or hardly. But then, going through high school, when most kids start asking themselves, is there a God? Is there something for me? What is my position in the world? Is there something I should do? Something higher than just my own wants, what I like, my appetites, making money? Is there something beyond this? So that's when I started being attracted by the whole idea of, well, maybe there's a God. And I came to find God when most people actually have the opposite experience. They've been pushed to go to church and to do things, and then once they go to college, nobody's pushing me anymore, I don't have to do this anymore. And it happens what happens. So I guess I'm the 1%, maybe more, maybe like 5% of people who gone the other way, whereas the majority of the other professors you're going to find have done the typical revolution at the very beginning. Of people that were being fed religion as children without really understanding it. And then by the time they were adults, they thought it was something for kids. And they just kind of abandoned it. No, if you start scratching the surface, you find there's an awful lot that you have learned. And what it takes is to really want to learn. Making the time for it. For instance, this whole thing of prayer, right? So, we Christians often are jealous of Muslims because they spend all these times of prayers. And we say, hey, man, that's amazing, that's tough, that's cool. But we can do the same. We can do the same. We can do it the whole day. The commandment of Christ is to be praying all the time. Maybe punctuated with special moments when you actually say some prayer. But there's some ways that you can train yourself, little by little. If you want, I'll mention one later, very well on tricks to try to constantly find some ways to pray. To be not just be with my thoughts, but to have that kind of internet all the time, to be connected with something much greater than itself. That helps a lot. It helps you to stay cheerful, to have perspective of life. It helps you to see people differently too. I mean, that alone will be worth the price of admission. What else? I find that sacraments help me a lot. That's something we have in the Catholic Church that unfortunately other denominations don't have in such a complete way, because that's directly the action of God. I believe this is helping me. You know, and I couldn't live without it. They say of some early Christians that when they were being persecuted in times of the Romans, they asked them, so why do you keep doing it? Why do you keep getting these gatherings, knowing that you're going to get arrested, you're going to be thrown to the lions? You don't need to do this. And one of these Christians, I don't know what happened to him, said, well, you don't understand. You cannot live with that. You just need to have the contact with Christ. We need to have the contact with one another. We need to have the contact with God. And we get this way through the sacraments. So, my personal experience with that is immensely helpful. And then there is, you need to study. Devote some time for studying this area. Not let your calculus and your thermodynamics take all the time, because there's many important things to learn out there in the world. And the things that have to be do with God are extremely important. Right? In fact, the other ones that are going to be most important to you as you get prepared to then jump for the next life. So the more you know about it, the better you'll be able to handle it. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
My name is Dahal, and I'm a Muslim by faith, and I'm able to see the relation between the Quran and science. And my question is, how does the Bible also relate to science and also relate to the Quran? How does it tie? Because that's always been, I know in Christianity, especially throughout the ages, there's always been that rift between science and God. You know, science is not believing in God. That's why we're here today. But
that's actually a recent phenomenon. Okay, you will see that all the centuries prior to the 18th century, the scientists were by and large people of faith. And even today, there's been some famous scientists that were extremely people of faith. They say, I think it was a talk about 2 weeks ago, where the name Niels Bohr was mentioned. Niels Bohr was a Catholic. He went to Mass every day. He was a kind of Christian guy. So the rift is really has been caused by ignorance. Mostly ignorance of the faith. You know, because at no point the faith has, what do they say, a fight with science. You know, it must have been made of the Galileo case. That's the thing that you can hear. Oh, Galileo. He'd say that the earth was around the sun and not the sun around the earth, and he was punished by the church for that, and that's the way they deal with scientists. Well, it's been usually a case that has been used for propaganda purposes. If you really dig into it, you'll discover a lot of things. For instance, Galileo did not say that first. Copernicus said that like a century earlier, and he was a priest, a monk, and he didn't get into any kind of trouble for saying that. Number two, Galileo was pretty awful at that. He had a way of picking up fights with people, and that wasn't the only fight that he picked. He happened to pick a fight with a bishop who had authority of saying something. And that was really what it was all about. You know, they being much stretched. So it's not like it's a real rift. You will find other scientists who don't believe will explain, will drive their lack of belief by saying that my science doesn't allow me to believe. I consider that to be mostly a consequence of ignorance again. And some laziness, perhaps. You have not kept up your knowledge of the divine at the same level, and you find it's too much to catch up at this age. So we might as well just come up with some excuse and say, well, and that's what we're seeing.
If you want to go to, and then you can ask questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can say.
I can't stay here.
I have to agree that it's part of laziness. It's a true part of laziness that rather than trying to search and keeping the connection with the divine, as you said exactly, you lose that connection and you end up being attached to this worldly life rather than the hereafter. As you said, prepare yourself for the next one. And then you get so attached in here that only this matters and only this is the truth. That's very true. Any questions for me?
Can the pursuit of science be considered as an act of service to God?
Absolutely. Search of science and knowledge. The professor started by saying that you were not put on this earth so that you can just live and be plentiful. You have to work. Work is an act of worship. Seeking knowledge, as I said before, is an act of worship. The first command that was ever revealed in the Quran was seek knowledge. Iqra, read, learn, find knowledge. So searching for the answers, not being lazy, searching, doing the science while you're trying to connect it and keep it with God, I think I believe, because I'm in this business, is one of the best parts of my life. It is doing research and at the same time tying it to God and thanking God that He had put me thus far of this knowledge, brought my knowledge out of nothing when I was born to this today, and I have to pay back right now. Payback is searching, continue to search, and sharing my knowledge, as I said, passing that forward.
Oh, what's the question again?
The question is, can the pursuit of science be an act of service for God?
Well, I think I answered that at the very beginning of the talk, right? I mean, it's a matter of
there's no questions. I wanted to also share other views. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this, my last presentation, and how one of the gentlemen that attended was one of those who are trying so hard to disprove what you are saying and trying to prove that no, God does not exist. And it brought it back to this, and this is what this gentleman told me. He said, look, science and God are the same source. Science and we have the books of God, the words of God are coming from the same source. They are all coming from God. But science is our part. Science is our research. You have the gospel, you have the books of God that is coming straight from God to you. And then you have science, which is your search, your assignment to find God. If science does not go with what's in the book, then that means you're the one who's in there, not God. Because God created everything around you. So if you have an idea, such as the idea of evolution or the idea of the Big Bang Theory, which is now even more and more they're saying it happened, or it is becoming a theory rather than just an idea. Then if it is in the books, it's in the Quran, then I'll go ahead and take it. If it does not go against the Quran, then I'll still consider it and go along with it. If it's clearly going against the book, I'm not going to take it. Because I'll always come back to that original source. I go back to that first revelation. not my work, even though, again, that's the part of ignorance where you go in and say, oh, I don't believe what I see. But that's faith. That's faith. And other things somebody brought up, again, this is, because that's my topic, is this whole evolution business. Why monkeys are 98.5% similar to us, and how come, if that is true. And I say, all right, fine. This is one of those tests of God. God tests you. God tests you to make sure those with faith, you are here because you believe in something and you are faithful to whatever you believe in. So this is one part. This is faith. Okay, so having faith. The second thing I said, well, I can see the small tiny genetic variations that happens amongst the animals and evolution as they evolve until they separate and they cannot mate, or if they mate, they'll produce an offspring that's not going to go anywhere. How come we haven't evolved that? If we have been here for 200,000 years and we have evolved from the Neanderthal man, how come we have not evolved any further to the point that we actually go into different subspecies that do not mate anymore? Forget even subspecies. How come we're not breeds? I mean, you have Chihuahuas and Saint Bernards. Do you think you can put them together? They're still the same species, but that's not going to work. How come we can't? You can bring any two people from this God's earth, put them together in love, under God's commands, and they'll reproduce. So that's another gap that I thought people would say, this doesn't work. No. There's no God. As you said, here's the proof. The problem is, it is people with faith that see that proof everywhere. You see sunrise, you see the power of God. You see the clouds, you see the power of God. But others who don't have the faith, they see sunrise and say, well, because the earth is rotating all day. Which is true, the earth is rotating, but it's because of the will of God. You do not have that part.
But like looking at this, it's letters, sure, letters. Letters, what's so special about them? Letters, the letters say something. There's a message there.
Right.
Speaking of which, I went through a math problem the other day, you might be interested in here. Okay, so we just reached 7 million people, right? Allegedly. If you look in Google Images for the 7 billion baby, you will find something very funny. It's like there's about 5 million babies and then proposed to be 7 billion. Different part of the world. Anyway, so imagine that you're the last person on earth left who actually believes in God. Okay? You're the last person. And then you say, I'm going to turn the world around. And the way I'm going to turn the world around is that I'm going to work with my friend to try to convince him or her that there is a God. Which might not be so difficult if you work on the same person for a whole year, right? And this person gets it. And then next year, he or she is going to be doing the same thing with a friend. And you're going to be doing the same thing. How long will it take until everybody in the world believes in God? Did you figure it out? It's a math problem. I'll give you the solution. The solution is 32.7 years. 32.7 years. If you keep doing that, it's less than a lifetime. If somebody looks, it's kind of half of a lifetime. You can do that, and everybody can just go to hell and do it again. so there is hope, Let's not just throw out our hands. It's not what everybody's achieving. Nobody pays attention. They all want to do the thing. They don't want to believe. Well, work at the level at which you are. Just work with a friend. Never work with somebody else. There is God's help there. And eventually, the world will change completely so fast. You will be. So you get homework. Figure out how these math problem works.
All right, thank you very much, both of you.